I remember the 7th day, I think it rained for 7 days and 7 nights, almost like the Ark. And I'm standing in my kitchen with my husband, who was working in Christiansburg at the New River Bureau of the Roanoke Times. I was working at Medico Security Locks, so both of us, and let's see, southeast, I guess. And he said, "Oh, look, it's raining again." I mean, it's kind of a weak joke. I get to work, and there's some problems. I think my husband had run out of gas, or I don't know, but I can't even recall. But I'm at work at Medico, and in the early afternoon, I cannot recall what time, I would look out the window at the parking lot, and the water is halfway up the tires. And I said to my boss, I'm going home. And he said, "No, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, I'm leaving." And you know, I'm like 28 years old and didn't know how to stand up for myself, but thank God I got in my car. And in order to get home, I could have gone one of 3 ways. So the way I chose turned out to be the only way I could have gotten home. I didn't have, there wasn't, as I recall, or maybe I didn't have a radio on, but there was no, you know, this road is closed or that road is closed. I don't remember any warnings at all. I took a left onto 460 going towards 81 north, and I remember logs floating past me on 460 and brush and debris that I was having to drive around, and I just remember being pretty scared. Well, if the logs were floating past me, then I would say it was at least 12 inches. But I got onto 81. So I could have gone down 460. I could have gotten off 81 onto Route 11, where Hollins is. But instead, I went to, which is it's alternate 220. It used to be 604, and got off there. And it's the road that cuts through basically Route 11 and 460. And it took me 2 hours to get home. If I had gotten off on Route 11, I would have been stuck. At that point, they were, and we found out, of course, later, they were rescuing the students from Hollins. It was Hollins College back then, in canoes from their dorms. The entire library was destroyed. So I couldn't go that way. If I'd gone down 460, as I mentioned earlier, they had to airlift Vic and Eric Thomas from the roof of their store, which was next to Tinker Creek. And I do believe that it was Tinker Creek that flooded Hollins as well. So I get home, and we had the dog in the basement, and I went right down to let him out, and he was halfway up our basement stairs. The water in our basement was at least a yard high at that point. Didn't lose I don't believe we lost electricity, although we lost water, because at that point back then we had a water wheel. It was just like this contraption from the previous century, and we have a lake. It's a small lake called Lake Bacco beyond, and it had flooded over. It had flooded the entire bottom area, which is basically like a large meadow. It was impassable, and the water wheel was stopped. So that was basically my recollection, is realizing afterwards that was the only way I could have gotten home.